get comfortable in the chat. Hang out and let's work on some EM. Daddy, welcome. Welcome everybody, we will be starting shortly. Yay, APP! Thank you. 14 months in a row.
Alright, I forced myself in so I can talk to you. Andrew, thank you. I think you are our longest, most like dedicated yesterday. Subscriber.
I know, how did we make it to 14 months? Every Thursday.
Perseverance.
Minus.
Well, actually, thinking about it now, there is a Thursday I will need to cancel coming up. So you heard it now here first.
Show is ruined.
Thursday, September 16th. Yeah, sorry. It's the only time it's a non-holiday, non-show that we've had.
Yeah, old school Ian likes my royalty-free music. I believe this one is called, what is it called? Clown Around.
Oh boy. Oh, you know what? We never framed the shot.
It reminds me of like old Super Nintendo RPGs running around in a village looking for the shop.
Speaking of RPGs, I need to continue playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's been too busy to play video games like that. I can hear you, Emoto, if you're translating back into the actual screen. Crafty Vampire says, loving the pinball hobby. New owner, loving your Game of Thrones. That's cool, man. Welcome to the...
I love Game of Thrones.
Welcome to the...
Thanks for joining us, Crafty.
Best advice I could give you is do not buy a second game unless you're prepared to own at least 5. It will happen. I'm very prepared to screw up. It's been a really long time since I've taken it.
Alright, y'all, let's do.
What camera is going to be on first? This one?
Hello. Oh, there's Kyle. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 67 of PinTech Live. We're getting up there in the numbers, and we are still doing Jack in the Box. 2 weeks ago, when we started this game, we had our special guest, Dr. Grumpy EM doctor, Mr. David Valansky was here and did a nice overview of how to read schematics. So if you're starting to work on your EM machines and need a nice refresher on schematics, definitely check that out. You can see all of our archives on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Marco Pinball. It was, I think, one of our best episodes to date.
Because
and hopefully we can get David in on the show again, because that was great. So we're just continuing what we started working on with David 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, because last week we were at Southern Fried Gaming Expo. Oh, I think we lost the camera. Anyways, Southern Fried Gaming Expo was really awesome in Atlanta, Georgia. We had over 30 Stern games. We had our giant pyramid structure. We had this whole other structure that was representing all the awesome bar arcades in Columbia, South Carolina, where we live. And it was a really great time. It was awesome to see everybody in person and meet some new faces. We met Sea Dog, who's in the chat here every once in a while, through YouTube, and it was cool to meet him in person, as well as a bunch of others. So we streamed for, Kyle, we streamed for 17 hours.
Wow.
From Thursday to Sunday. And we still didn't hit that 25-hour mark for our first goal for Twitch partnership. So it's hard.
That's a lot.
You gotta hit the 3 marks. We almost hit the first one. But yeah, if you guys want to check out any of that content, again, it's on our YouTube page. You scrub through the videos. We did this cool thing where we were interviewing people and then cutting back to like Game of Thrones or Avengers gameplay, where people at the booth were winning swag prizes depending on the format. They did kind of like a Price is Right format or a battle Kim Martinez to see if you'll win. Not a whole lot of people won because she is a beast. And congratulations to Kim as well for winning the women's tournament that we sponsored over the weekend. Absolutely. Too. So that was huge. Lots of awesome representation.
Kim asked me to be the battle person, and I said, right. if you're gonna make me the battle person, then.
See, there was a choice. It was either battle Kyle or Kim, and everyone was choosing Kim, which if they had any insider knowledge, they should have definitely been choosing you the whole time.
Yeah, we would have been giving away things left and right. Like, we would have had no more swag to give away if it was me. Sorry, I'm enjoying this delicious milkshake. Oh, yeah,
so I think, Kyle, while I'm doing some more announcements, if you can check on the Razer B, unplug it and replug it back in. I think it.
That's weird because it's actually showing that it's on. I went and checked. It's like not only is the camera on, but the light is on, right? The one that's on the boom.
Yeah, every time we disassemble our studio to take it on the road, coming back is a little bit of a challenge.
I'm going to unplug it really quick.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Old school EM. So we streamed Marco Ramirez in the Hotlanta Extreme Eating Challenge to see who's the last person standing for eating the hottest peppers in the world. And, of course, our very own Marco Ramirez slayed it for the second year. He's officially retired. He proved his point. He has the strongest tongue and stomach.
He was not the last person standing this time, though. He had someone hold strong and steady throughout the fight, and there was one other. They ran out of hot peppers, and both of these insane people were sitting there at the end, and it was really wonderful. But not to take anything away from Marco.
Yeah,
I mean,
so apparently that guy actually works for Sriracha or something. He was a plant.
Oh.
So I think in the Sriracha shop, they take off their taste buds so they can eat anything. I'm not sure. And the other really awesome stream we did was our first our pilot episode of Pinball X-Ray, which is just a mechanical deep dive into pinball machines, old or new. But we were able to roll in Spooky Pinball's new Halloween game into our booth, and we lifted up the hood and saw underneath the playfield and saw a lot of cool, exciting mechanisms and innovations. Yeah. So definitely check that. I'll post that one in the link.
I'm quite proud of that
chat
one
because that was really good.
I think that's pretty neat. Big thanks to Luke and Dylan and Bug for making that happen. Great.
Yeah, it was a fun team.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like I really enjoy deep diving into the Stern games when they come out. It's really fun. You have someone who worked on the game, who knows everything, and they're helping out, giving us the inside story. But we kind of wanted to open up just regular games, right? Instead of just talking about how to fix them, it's like, well, let's just look and see how neat these things are. So this one was kind of a combination. We looked at a brand new game with the people that worked on it, but it was the most interesting of all the games we could have chosen to open up that we haven't already seen.
What do you think, Kyle, was the most interesting part of looking inside of Halloween?
Honestly, it's seeing... Yes. So I have my favorite assistant here today, Mark. He's off camera, but I think the neatest device was absolutely the ball elevator. So there's these 3D printed gears and in a matching elevator. So these gears that were on a high torque motor would move this 3D printed elevator upwards to put the ball back out in the in lane, which is really neat. And it's all like, super high density resin printed. It's going to be extraordinarily easy to service if you're not someone who's very technical. They have it designed in a way where you can just unbolt it, bolt the new unit in, and send the other one back off. It's seamless. I think if that was my favorite device that was definitely on the game, which it was, my favorite thing was seeing how far that Spooky as a company has come when it's come to like putting together a more commercial looking product, right? Like, no bashing against Spooky, but like, on the first couple games, using my TNA as an example, the wires are run extraordinarily tight. It's difficult to service when wires break and stuff like that. But on the new game, and they were apologizing to me for having, it's like, oh, well, this is a sample. It's not perfect, it's kind of rough, but man, the wiring harnesses look great. They added in big service loops for all the wires attached to coils, so it just made it into, they look like they're going to be a lot easier to, keep running in the future. So, yeah. It was cool, man. That was a really neat game. It plays really well. I think everyone who busted out on a pre-order is going to be extraordinarily happy.
Yeah, and we fully masked all weekend, shouting in this loud expo hall. We're all still regaining our voice and throat composures.
That is why I'm drinking a milkshake from
we're trying to
Columbia, South Carolina's
keep
own
the throat lubricated.
Rushes.
All right. Well, in other news, because we got a lot of news. It feels like we've been away for so long. And I hope you all enjoyed our setup and teardown live streams too. that was fun. Have it in the background. You can watch us build and disassemble the pyramid, and it was crazy. So anyways, this week, today, we launched our Pin Labor Day campaign. So Labor Day is coming up in a week or so. It's September 6th, not next Monday, but the following Monday. And we will be closed. We apologize for the inconvenience, but it is Labor Day. We want to spend time with our pinball machines and family as well, too. But we do have our free domestic shipping and $10 off international shipping for orders over $99 code, which you can see right here next to me is all caps Pin Labor 21. And that code is going to be active through Sunday. So if you don't have time to figure out what you want to order today during the stream, you have a few more days to think about it and, put in your orders. You'll get your parts in as soon as possible, and you can spend Labor Day weekend working on your games at the beginning part, and then the end part playing them with your friends and family. So we're really excited for that as well. And the last announcement before we get into Jack in the Box is we're launching a new Marco TV show. Aren't you excited for us, Kyle?
Very.
So here it is, the Big Picture Pinball Show. This is in collaboration with Moriarty Media. James Moriarty, you may see him from time to time at events shooting awesome behind the scenes and recap videos for us at these shows. But the Big Picture Pinball Show is a bi-monthly live streaming interview program. And the show is presented by us and hosted by filmmakers and pinball enthusiasts, James and I, Emoto. And the program will highlight people who've been involved in the creation and production of movies with pinball theme. So it's a filmmaker panel sort of thing. So join us and learn all about the journeys of these filmmakers have taken into the world under glass. You can put questions in the chat to ask our interviewees, and per James, we'll give a prize out to who has the best question. So get your questions ready, because our very premiere episode, which is next Tuesday evening at 8 p.m., is with Todd Tuckey from TNT Amusements. So what an honor that is going to be. Todd is a class act. He's an amazing person. He's been in the business for forever. He has a great personality. I think he was the first pinball show to ever be created. I think they're like in their thousands of episodes, and it'll be awesome. He was the first person I ever interviewed when I started my Emoto arcade journey back in 2015. And it was right before I really even got into pinball. So we were talking about like Soul Calibur 2 and Dance Dance Revolution at his shop. So, and I watched them throw like a big jukebox off of their roof for their reality TV show, which is all about fixing games and selling them. So we're really excited to have Todd Tuckey on our show next Tuesday. So everyone in the chat, please join us and show lots of love and support to this new show. And then it'll be, oh, wow. Look, it's an old one.
Yeah,
I just
Drager pointed out a good...
way wrong.
Yeah, that's a couple weeks ago, man. The show already happened. We missed it.
How did that happen? I don't know. Well, that's fun.
Now you know.
I know. Let's just cancel the stream.
Wasn't Todd Tuckey making
August 31st, Tuesday, August 31st. Follow us. It's been a whirlwind, so I didn't even proof that.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm pretty sure Todd Tuckey was making promotional videos on VHS like in the 80s and 90s.
Thanks, Jogger. I hope you're there. Yeah.
I think he predates like even like the Shaggy and Norm videos that Tim Arnold, gosh, my brain isn't working. Clay did, which would be early pinball enthusiast media.
And then I gotta go back and look at this. Oh, right. Well, that's it for my announcements, Kyle. Grumpy EM Doctor is in the chat and says, I'm dying to know, was the Jack in the Box score reel issue a bad coil?
I don't know. Let's find out. Due to terrible design, we have to disassemble the entire score reel to get the coil out. Well, we don't really, but let's just take the score reel apart to show people. I think we were kind of talking about what our next couple shows will be, and I'll have to pull something and figure it out. I think we'll take a break from EMs for a minute, because I think this speaks to a group of people like this big, even though it should be this big, where most normal pinball speaks to a group of people this big. So anyways, but I got a high hand over there that needs work, and I want to disassemble all the score reels and clean them and show them the whole process. These things are fine, so this might just be a disassemble and put it back together. So, oh, look at Daniel says Todd has lots of old VHS videos on YouTube. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's been doing it, since forever. Forever. So that'll be exciting.
Pretty cool.
To find out what keeps him ticking.
I don't know, man. I couldn't even talk to Todd when we were in Pennsylvania. He just immediately took my glasses off and poked my eyes out.
He loves doing that.
Anywho, yeah, I don't know. Should we start working on this thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Full disclosure, I haven't taken apart a Gottlieb score reel in like, I don't know, since 2019.
And trust those coil guys. APB. You're so funny.
Yeah, can't trust them. Can't trust them as far as you can throw them.
No.
I think I might. It'll all come back to me, but it'll be a little clunky. I don't remember exactly what tools we need, but I know I need this. I know I need this. I think I need bendy screwdriver just because that's what I normally use. And all should be fine.
Wait,
and now we have to do a bunch of weird camera work because this is kind of precarious.
Oh no.
All right.
Oh no, Mr. Bill.
No, well, maybe. Yeah, I guess your Aztec is probably one of the last EMs I took apart in California. How you doing, Mike? You sneaking in here? Are we not sure how to get this camera to switch?
Where is Kyle? Kyle, we can't see you.
I'm here.
Can you pan the camera over a little, or I would walk it over? Maybe not pan.
Well, I kind of want the webcam to be the actual camera we look at.
You just made me.
There's no room for this camera.
Yeah, that works. It's fine. Cool. Nice shot. Where in the world is Kyle San Diego? There he is. Let's turn off that autofocus, shall we? Wow.
Let me find another rag. I think the only other rag I have in here right now is actually a clean one, but nope, there's another one right there. Grab this one off of Centaur.
Interesting.
One's dirty. Okay, remember, first rule of working on an EM in the head is lay something over the neck hole. Actually, you know what? That looks terrible. We're just going to deal without this. Cover the hole in the neck. You know how many screws I've dropped down here? This is something that really is going to bite you.
Good first rule, yes. Thank you, Roller Pinball, for the resubscribe. One whole year.
One whole year.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so the way these are put together, the ones, thousands. Oh, thank you. This is much better. This will help. We can fold this up. This might make a little easier for the camera or your eyes to focus on the small parts we're going to be looking at without the sea of wires. So I think it's the ones, the hundreds, and the thousands will have these circuit boards on the back. It adds a whole other level of complexity to taking these things apart. There's a few pieces you really need to make sure you keep an eye on. The easiest, or the most important one is this washer that is underneath this E-clip. This is a very special thickness washer, and when they go missing, they can cause issues. So do not lose it. I don't know what
we should put a mic on Mark and put him on the show.
I know Mark should be on the show.
Mark's in the studio today, and he's just a plethora of information.
I'm not sure. I'm sure there is a part number, but I couldn't tell you what it is. It's a wave washer, and it's a very thin washer as well. So the first thing we've done here is we have removed the washer and the E-clip. Really, you should take this off first because once you take this off, everything's going to want to spring out. The entire assembly, which is the score unit, is sprung. There is a compression spring underneath, which we will see. So that is why I am pinching here what I would recommend now is we would want to hold the score reel, the actual unit itself, as we peel away the circuit board.
No.
And this is when we got to start just remembering the order of things. You have a plastic bushing, which has a imprint that matches a gear here, which we will look at. So this has to come off. We then take off the wiper for the circuit board. At this point, the spring is underneath here, right? So what we're going to do is let this pop itself up.
Yeah, good call. Old school EM says use a magnet tray to hold all those small parts.
Absolutely.
Those always come in handy.
Too bad my magnet tray is still held up with all of our Indy 500 parts.
You have to get a bunch of magnet tray. One for each game, I recommend.
We had like 8 of them at the
shop.
Have
its own magnet tray nearby.
I got it. I'll just poke Marlon. Hey, finish my project for Indy 500. You know what it is. Next, we take out the, let's call this the ratcheter. And we will explore how this works before we put it back together. And then we have our compression spring. That ratchety piece, that is what actually turns the score reel, right? The actual motion of the coil, right, where the coil pulls back on this armature, is not what moves the score reel. It's the actual release which moves the score reel. So this guy has some teeth, which mate up to teeth on the back of the score drum. If that's visible. I can't see because Emoto's focusing another camera. Hold on.
Well, yeah, for some reason this camera's not letting me adjust it.
There's some teeth on the back of this sucker.
Okay.
So, when this guy is in place and the coil energizes, it rotates, and that's what rotates the score reel. So, Gottlieb made some really, really slick parts. These parts were absolutely over-engineered for what they are, and it shows because these games continue to work decades and decades later. What you run into, though, is that everything kind of has its Achilles heel, and the score reel is absolutely the Achilles heel of a Gottlieb game. I think we touched on it when David was on the show last week. Part of resetting the game, since the game doesn't know how many points are on it, right? Points are fake, they don't matter. But it needs to know when it's at 0, right? Because that's where we start, is from 0 points. If these things can't reset, the game will never actually finish its reset cycle and be able to start. And a lot of the times, one of the big cruxes is absolutely these score reels. There are many moving parts and many friction points where old grease will dry up and they will not turn anymore. And the game cannot physically reset the wheels all the way to 0. So that is something that is annoying. These things take a long time to service. This is a 4-player game. There's 16 score reels in here. That's why EMs are very expensive to service. You have to go through each one of these things, clean them, grease them, and reassemble them, and make sure they're all good. I'm going to remove the end of stroke switch, which we were kind of fighting with last week. That will give us more room to take off this coil bracket. I do feel like I should have probably unsoldered the coil first as well, but you know what? Orders be damned. We will just do it. I think I've got them loose enough. Let's see where we're at. I think this hardware is number 3. It's a weird size. Do not lose it. It is difficult to replace.
Put it in your magnet bowl.
Come on.
Pernicious Southern Fried was awesome. We streamed for over 16 hours. I think it was 17 and change. So check out all our live streams on our YouTube archives. We got a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, we did a lot there. That was fun. Okay, I'm going to take off that tensioning plate. I'm going to slide the switch off and then safely remove these screws and their lock washers. We'll just get them all out of the way. There are ways to replace this coil without going this far. I'm pretty sure we could have done a few less steps, but I just wanted to show this until we've actually done it and we take one apart and clean it. But this is how we can disassemble a fully working Gottlieb score reel. You end up getting friction in a few places. You get friction here where there's metal on metal. You also get friction here behind this plate and against the actual frame of the drum. Let me turn this down because it's blowing it out. This light's actually blowing it out. Hold on. Let me...
Show Swag, that was a glitch in the matrix. You just imagined that it was upside down and backwards. So
what I've been doing, and I've been taught by many people, is when we take these things apart, you do install a bit of grease behind here because there is a little bit of drag that can come from this plate against this plate here. These things did have grease on them decades ago. The grease is now mostly dried up. We've talked about grease on the show. I don't feel like talking about grease a lot right now, but
little goes a long way.
Yeah, little goes a long way. I've been using CV axle grease for a really long time, and that works okay. There is also another grease that has been reformulated to match kind of the original greases that Bally and Gottlieb would offer. We don't have a good option in our store for those.
Grease is the word.
You know, if you were to order from Pinball Resource, which if you have an electromechanical game, sometimes you will, he stocks the PBR grease, which is that reformulation. The CV axle grease is what I use, or I'm going to start using the other just to try, but you can get that at any good auto parts store.
I've had the same bottle for a very long time. That's how little you use.
I'm going to plug my soldering iron in here, and we're going to yank the coil off.
Nice.
The reason we are replacing this coil is we suspect it's bad. It works well enough to do half of its job, but it doesn't work well enough to step this score unit cleanly. We were having an issue with the 10-point reel on the first player floating a little bit. And what I mean by floating is we weren't getting a clean actuation. These do have an end of stroke switch. As the score reel pawl moves backwards, it will hold itself on until the end of stroke switch has opened. And what that does is allow the score relay, the relay that drives the coil, to de-energize. So what we were having the problem of is on every other player, if we held the relay in, it would stay on. When we held the relay in here, while this was clearly opening, the field was collapsing a little bit and it was floating. Go back and watch the video. I think I showed it. We had good video of the arcing contacts. And what we're hoping, David and I kind of concluded, it's like, well, this is probably not like a logic problem. What we probably have is a defective coil. A lot of times you've probably heard me say a coil is usually either good or it isn't. This is one of those instances where you've kind of got an in-between scenario. This coil is good, but it also isn't. So we're going to see. Maybe it is a good coil and we're going to replace it for no reason, but then we know we've at least tried something. A lot of problems where you have to sit there and really bang your head against the wall and try to figure out what's going on, you know, the logical side of your brain will say, well, that can't happen. That's not possible. That, you know, that's not how we have to do this. but you got to try something. There are so many instances where I've sat there and just refused to do something, and it just sits and confuses you, where it's always good to at least change something, right? We know that there's something going on with this coil. Let's just change it. We'll try. If that doesn't fix it, well, we know we have another good coil. We can put it in our parts box and use it on a game at a later date. Everything kind of points to a bad coil here, though. Even though it does work, which is weird. Keep bumping the camera, I'm sorry. Gottlieb, for whatever godforsaken reason, did decide to use slotted screws on everything. Is okay, it's just annoying. I think maybe some of the, I just dropped that right on my shoe. Some of the thought there might be because you can't really it's harder to over torque a slotted screw. It's also easier to repair them sometimes. Okay, now that we have this thing totally in shambles.
Is there a shot that you can get with the handheld for a second? Because I think that camera, something's wrong with it. I'd like to deactivate it and reactivate it. Like, I can't access any of the controls.
Yes. I can get creative and try.
We like creativity.
Do... What if I do this? If I put the handheld... This kind of sucks. But maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun.
If I put something on top of it,
Ooh.
Hold on.
Artsy.
Or wait, no. If I do this, if I oh wait, I can do this. How about that?
Yeah, that's fun.
It kind of works. I don't even remember what I was talking about.
Good for now.
I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to get this coil out. I've removed the spring. Gosh, it's been a long time since I've done this. The coil stop gets stuck, or the coil sleeve. So I'm going to pry the sleeve kind of off the stop here, and then we can remove it, like reversing it out of a driveway, kind of like that. And then since we're here, let's just take it all the way apart. And you can see every bit.
You can see the grease a lot now. Do you clean all that up?
It is clean. That is the grease that I've inserted.
So you keep that, right, okay, so you keep that there. Yummy grease. Yeah, don't lick it.
So we have this pawl here. We have the plunger here. It is the most adorable little plunger. I am going to wipe this up a teeny bit just because I do have some grease on my fingers. But really quick, let's address the coil. The stop on this is replaceable, but this stop feels okay. It's not loose. I'm not going to worry about it. We do have to reassemble this kind of as one piece.
Grumpy says too much grease.
It's probably too much grease, but it works, so I'm not going to mess with it. It's absolutely too much grease, but that is how it has been working for a long time, so I'm not going to mess with it. This was...
Jonas Cope, welcome to the show. That's awesome. He said, thanks for covering this topic, and looks like we had a great time at Southern Fried. And basically, go Marco for winning the hot pepper contest. Yeah, Marco. The entire room, there must have been like well over 100 people in there. We're all cheering, Marco, Marco. And Dalton Ely was there, and he was like, don't drink that milk, Marco. You better not give up, Marco. You can do this, Marco. And it was amazing.
So
I'll put together a little comp video later.
Marco told me that he was about to tap out on the whole thing because a seed from like a mega double triple extreme Carolina Reaper whatever like slid out from between his teeth and got lodged in his throat.
Oh my
God. He was dying at that point, but he said
it's just stuck there burning.
That was why he was going for the water, was to wash that down.
Oof.
Where's the new coil? Sorry, this circuit board does not want to stay. Okay, now we can kind of slide that back together-ish. It has to go together in one very peculiar way. What I like to do when I put these things together is kind of tack one in, like tack 1 or 2 screws in, but never tighten it all the way down. Sorry, this camera angle's awful. I will stop and slow down and show you what I'm talking about, just because I forgot that this guy's not working correctly.
I'm working on it.
So what I mean by that is with this frame that encases the coil here, we've got some slotted screws, so we could tighten it down like this, but then there is room for the coil to jiggle around, etc. We want to get it in there, give it a nice hug, right? We want to get it nice and tight. So the goal will be to install all 4 screws and then push this nice and snug and then tighten up all of the screws while we have it in a good position.
Oh, I just got to delete you. Goodbye, Ray.
Yeah, we were just talking about less is more, and then David said, that's too much grease, and he's absolutely right. But it's working right now. What you'll say is like, well, if it's working right now, I mean, well, who's right? The issue is that in the future, or if I stopped using this game, that grease will start to coagulate, and it will start turning into glue, which is the exact reason why these things kind of stopped working in the first place, right? So we want to use just enough grease to be able to lubricate, but not enough for it to turn into glue. Again, I mean, that's many years down the line, but this game has actually been one of the most reliable games I've ever owned, electromechanical wise. This thing has paid itself off many, 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 many times. People love Jack in the Box. These are SEMS head screws. SEMS head screws have a enclosed, or not enclosed, but an attached lock washer to them. It is like the most common screw used on pinball forever. You've probably seen these when you've taken your games apart many, many times with the spiky little washer butted up to the head. These are great. This is like the end-all, be-all. If you need to carry one type of screw in your pinball box, always carry a bunch of SEM screws. They're wonderful. We have them in basically every size ever. Sometimes it can be difficult to find screws and hardware on our website, but
welcome.
If you find, if you do have a parts manual, there are a few parts manuals available online. We have them listed under the Williams part number 95% of the time. So if you can find the Williams part number, they're there. All right, so we've got this back together, right? We've got the carriage. I'll call this the carriage. We've got a new coil installed here. Reassembly is opposite of disassembly. I love it when instruction manuals tell me that. It's like, yeah, I know. But that's what we're going to do. There's this piece, which is kind of the seat for the spring. I don't remember which side is up, but I have the spring right here so I can measure. Yes, it sits in like that, but it also sits in like that. Actually, it's identical on both sides, so there is no right way. We'll slide this down. This is where having the small poker is really handy. Use our screwdriver to seat that down. Okay, so this part, the rest of this does take a bit of finesse. We need to make sure that when we reinstall, what are we going to call this? The rotating cam piece guy. we need to make sure that we install it with the teeth in the correct orientation, right? If we look at this assembly, the solenoid is pulling it to one direction. We have teeth that correlate, right? So these teeth need to spin this cam. If we need to make sure that we get the first tooth on this cam lined up with the first tooth on the follower here. If we do not have them lined up, we will not get a full pull and rotation on the score reel. Now, mind you, we also have to reassemble all of this stuff while keeping it in place because the spring is constantly wanting to push it out. So it's good to have all this stuff close at hand so we can work on it. This isn't going to be a score reel cleaning episode because I definitely want David to give me his updated opinions. I like to grease everything that can have a teeny bit of friction, which is why you'll see like on the inside of this score reel, there's just a teeny trail of grease on the ridge that this wire, which actuates our switch stack, right, for the 9 rollover, 0, not on 0 position, just to really give everything, try to eliminate as much friction as possible.
Do you want to hear Grumpy EM Doctor's trick for...
You should read it because I have seen it. And everyone does it differently. I think it's depending on tools and the shape of your hands and dexterity and stuff like that. There are many different ways to get this stuff back together. But that being said, while you read that, I am going to reinstall the end of stroke switch.
Oh, I should read it. I thought you were telling us in the chat. Just read it. So Grumpy EF Doctor said, I have a trick for this step. Use your right index finger to back pressure the plunger. So basically you're using a finger out of the way of the reel to pull the plunger and in effect hold the racket and spring in place. If we had 3 hands, so much of this would be a lot easier.
Seriously. If we had 3 hands, we would all be master technicians in every discipline. Let's see. Maybe I didn't really need to do this here. I could have probably done this while it was back together, but there's no detriment. This number 3
4
hardware.
Hands to stream. Yeah, we need like 17 hands to stream properly.
Seriously. And this is like, there's a little bit of an added challenge because I'm really trying to keep this piece of cardboard in place as well. So it's easier to focus on all this stuff.
This razor is just...
Are our Golden Boy cameras finally being annoying?
Well, yeah.
Aw.
Well, it's not letting me adjust it and it's just kind of sitting over the layer weird. I think it's Streamlabs more so than our cameras.
Can someone make OBS better or make Streamlabs less buggy? We'll be doing everyone a great service.
It's always something. Yeah, the only thing that fixes it is like restarting, which we don't want to do.
Yeah, there's something very strange about the way that OBS handles devices.
It's so weird.
Getting this guy tightened down. All right, it's not tight, but I'll remember to really torque it down once we're done. At least that step's out of the way. The way I assemble these, and this is not going to be, again, translatable to everyone because I have big hands, which makes some of this stuff a little easier. We need to install the spring. We will make sure that the rotating cam bit is seated on the spring correctly, and we have proper meshing of the gears, which we do in this position. You'll notice to get that position, we will need to push on the lever, the carrier, just a little bit to get it into its home position. So you kind of have to do that while making sure the spring is seated correctly and get it to something like that.
This is where David Grumpy EM Doctor's trick comes into play, right?
Yes. And that happens when you are trying to hold the cardboard.
Oh, no. Did you guys see that? That thing just flew out. Where was your right index finger?
It did not go far.
Well, that's good. You shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah, heard that before.
Good thing he has glasses on.
Okay, we'll get this right this time.
Uh-oh.
You set that in. Again, make sure that you've got that gear in the right spot. We can slide the score reel down. This is the difficult part because, right, you're holding all of this stuff in place, moving the carrier, you're holding this thing down. The score reel needs to slip down without any of this stuff slipping up. What I will do, and this is just my dumb way of doing it, I will put a tool in there to hold the carrier and then try to slip the score reel down before it has a chance to jump.
Wait, how did you do that? Can you do that again?
No. Yes, I can do it again. David's method absolutely is the cleanest way to do this by holding the plunger in position.
So you're matching the teeth, right?
The teeth are matched.
Okay.
We slide this guy down, and then we will stick a screwdriver somewhere, something, to hold that rotating cam in place. Sometimes you could even stick it in through this middle little hole right here. Because again, the score reel, it doesn't matter what position the score reel's in, the score reel will set, the actual drum itself will set the unit to its correct place in regards to that ridge. Remember, we were looking at that ridge on the back? Where that ridge is dictates how this lever, wire form, pushes on these switches, which is the position of the score reel. Anyways, without getting too deep into it, we'll disassemble one of these later. I just want to change the dang coil. Once we get it here.
You're going to do all of this just to change the coil?
More or less, yes. Once we get it here, we have to put this wiper on. This wiper will only go on one way. There is a teeny nipple on the drum between the 4 and the 5 where this smaller cutout, we got this camera working? Do you see that dimple?
Yes.
See this wiper here on my pinky?
Yes. We can see it.
You have to slide that in just like that. That is the only place for this thing to go. It will not sit correctly if you put it any other way.
Focus.
It kind of will, but it's not right. So just remember, look for that indicator, that little mark on this guy where the long end of this wiper goes, and you set this guy right here, and that's what it does. I want to try David's method next time we take one of these things apart, but for the sake of muscle memory, that I am going to put it together this way.
John asked, was the white spacer under the spring before the cam gear was put on?
Yes, the one that centers the spring against the carriage, yeah, that got put on first. Then we seat the spring into that, and then the rotating cam.
Okay.
I think to really understand the way, I think we we linked this video last time. Oh, and the other important thing, right at the end, you have to be able to slide the circuit board on over all of that without letting it slip up. It can only slip up maybe 1/4 of an inch, not even, less than 1/4 of an inch before the teeth might fall out of place, and then you have to take it all apart again. Let me finish putting this back together and I'll finish my thought. Super important, mega thin, odd washer. E-clip. Hopefully you have calloused fingers and you can slip it on. Mine aren't calloused enough anymore. I'm going to push it on with a screwdriver, and that's not working. And now I wish I had my needle nose pliers. Oh wait, I do have my needle nose pliers. Here they are.
Yay.
Needle nose pliers come in.
I wish your hands were see-through.
Yeah, right?
That would be a game changer.
Oh, you know why it's not working very well? Because this is a wave washer, and the center tang on the E was hitting one of the up parts. You click it on like that.
Just click
Okay,
in.
what I was saying was David has a very, very, very good video he recorded on YouTube about Gottlieb drum units, score units.
Oh, yeah.
And I think in that video he does show the method that he uses to get these things back together, which is the superior method. I am just
Let me see if I can find that one.
Muscle memorying it now. I used to hate it when people would bring us games that are like, well, I tried to get it working, but it doesn't work anymore. And you come to find out someone took these things out and sprayed like lithium grease all over those plungers. I think that was Chris's way of testing me to see if I really wanted to work on pinball machines, was to make me do, like, redo 16 Gottlieb score reels at a time. That was always fun. Anyways, now that we've got it back together, we can pull that plunger and ensure that it steps through nicely. Everything is great. It's wonderful. Perfect, hopefully. Now all we have to do is solder it back together, and we'll see if we fix the problem. So yes, this is difficult, but this is also, it's not really difficult, but it is kind of EM 101, especially Gottlieb 101. If you've got a Williams or a Bally game, you don't usually need to service the score reels as fully as you would on a Gottlieb game, like we just had to do. They generally just work. That being said, we did have to mess with one of mine on Hotline a couple weeks ago after I made that same definitive statement, which ended up being false. Oh, you were out of frame when you showed the trick. Oh, bummer. Well, I think you need to film another one. Maybe when we come to the Bay Area, we can film a super official Grumpy EM Dr. Gottlieb score reel video. We can yank one out of a game and just do it.
That would be cool.
Here's a tip on location. If you ever need to clean your soldering iron, you got two choices.
Phil. Thanks for joining us. We're back in the studio.
I don't have enough room in my toolkit to carry like a soldering iron cleaner. So I have two ways that I like to do this. Put some solder on the tip, really get it oversaturated, and then fling the solder off. Then you end up with a nice clean tip.
Did you just fling the solder onto our carpet?
No, I flung it onto this.
Okay.
And even if I did fling it onto the carpet, it just dries immediately, and you can pick it right off into a little solder puck.
Okay. Well, as long as you pick it up.
And then you get these cool little... Can you put the small camera on?
Yeah. I know, this heathen. After putting the fire out.
No fire.
Burned a hole in our carpet.
I've done this a million times. Don't worry.
I know, that's why the carpet looks like it does. I'm just kidding.
That's from all the churchgoers. The other thing to do is just to carry a bristle brush, and I'll just... And then just be aware that you wipe solder off on a bristle brush. Again, the solder doesn't stick to the metal. It will all fall off, and then you have a really nice, clean soldering iron tip to work with.
Nice.
It shouldn't matter if you're at home, because you'll probably have a nice solder station with something to clean the soldering iron tip with.
Grumpy AM Doctor says solder embeds in fabric. It does not always just come up.
I don't know, man. I've always had it. I used to do this all the time in the showroom at Chris's shop. Maybe that's because that carpet is so dirty, but it just comes up.
Just don't do it at a customer's house.
No, never at a customer's house.
Oh, no. He's ruined shirts to prove it.
Hey,
Phil
shirts
says,
are different fabrics.
Can we please all go back to Southern Fried this weekend? Yes.
No.
That was such a fun show. We should have just left the pyramid set up until next year. All the other events that happen at the convention center, we'll just have to work around it.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to talk on the phones, because after that, I wasn't able to speak for a day. Steve and I went and got, or Sarah bought us a pizza for lunch on Monday, and the first bite of pizza just destroyed my throat. It was so sore from yelling. I have a problem of being deaf.
So sorry, what are you soldering again? I missed that part.
I'm just soldering the coil back on.
Oh, okay, from the back.
Yeah, it's easier when you don't have to support the score reel. I'm using a super small gauge solder because I'm almost out of my really good solder I keep in my toolbox. I'm using my really good board working solder.
This breathing camera is driving me crazy.
I'm sorry. So that is why it looks like I am adding an insane amount of solder to these wires. But
stop breathing.
Take some of that nasty out of the old wires. Because it's never fun to have to solder 2 wires onto one thing when you only have 2 hands. So let's see, sometimes a little bit of prep work really goes a long way.
Can you give us another angle with the handheld? Because it looks cool where it's at. It just needs to be tilted down a little bit more. Oh, maybe it can't tilt that far.
It's
just a really cool shot. Oh, that's kind of cool. Whoa. Should I flip it? I should flip it, right? I like it.
That is kind of cool.
Rotate it. Oops, I rotated the wrong one. Because I can control this camera. And
yeah, these aren't going to squish together at all. Okay, well, we might just have to go the scald your fingertips method here, which is, okay. It's always kind of a challenge to solder 2 wires onto one lug. If you try to solder 1 wire onto a lug, and then you go to add the other one, sometimes the first one will
pop. Kyle, we're such a mess. Do you have the Sony cam plugged in? Oh no. Now we can't see Kyle, but we have a really cool shot of this TENS unit. There's Mark laughing in the background. It was a long weekend, y'all. We're still recovering. Taking a year off of shows really slowed down our train motion, but we're getting the hang of it again. Let's see. How do I make this shot better? Ooh, that's too dark, right? I think when he steps in front of it, it's nice. Now let's turn that off. Cut some wire to fresh ones. John, we are not going to do Free Play Florida. Mayhaps some of our team members may walk it and just enjoy it, but we will not be exhibiting at that show. And I believe it's the same weekend as a show we are going to. Let's see, it's Free Play Florida, November 3rd through the 5th. When is that show again?
That's a show that I would really like to go see one day.
I would love to go to that show too. I've been meaning to get down there for forever.
I've met a lot of really...
November 19th to the 21st.
Oh, hey, this is plugged in. I can use this.
So I think it's the same... Is it the same weekend as Houston?
All right. Is my mic on? Am I coming through?
No, it's the weekend after, but we're already... Not this year. Long story short.
Oh, I am coming through. Okay, good. Ty says, thanks for all the help with those Data East crank pieces. Rocky and Bullwinkle's playing better than ever. All right.
Mr. Loaf.
Yeah, I don't know if you could have heard, but I'm really excited to go to Florida one day. There are a lot of really nice pinball folks in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Not too far. Okay, let's see what we can do here.
So Grumpy said for 2 wires, I try to put one through the hole. No mechanical hold, just insert it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to see if I can expose
that way it
the
stays
hole.
In there.
I think the problem
Your
is...
wires look huge.
Yeah, that's the issue is I added a lot of solder to the wires while they were kind of blown out of shape. So sometimes what you can do is heat up a wire and then try to scrunch it together using like some needle noses or something to get it away from its like, chunky, wide shape.
I know. Don't you just want to use your fingers and pinch it and twist it, and then it'll burn?
I have.
So don't do that.
Sometimes you forget.
Don't forget.
Yeah, the mechanical side of holding a wire in, right, using the hole in the lug. Unfortunately, I think I might be fighting against a lot of things to try to get these wires small enough. So we're going to try to do it without using the mechanical hold.
All right, so you got one.
The issue, right, is like the wires definitely have a bit of memory. Actually, this one's really small. I might be able to get this one through the lug. The wires have some, tension. So if I were to sit here and be like, oh, well, if I just crimp them together with my needle noses, once I get them down, I remove the soldering iron holding it down, the top one's going to want to go thunk and jump back up. So the other option is I could try to solder it to the bottom. And then I would need to use my needle nose pliers to hold them in place. It can be annoying. I'm making a big...
You don't want to braid the wires together and solder it. And you don't want to put the wire on top of the other wire.
Well, if we were to put the wire on top of the other one, we risk the chance of them coming and springing apart. I don't like doing this because the needle nose pliers turn into a bit of a heat sink. And maybe we aren't going to get the best solder joint. I wasn't able to heat the solder up perfectly, but let's just take a look-see at it. This is hard to do while I'm trying to talk and have cameras and blah, blah, blah. Let's see, I'm going to try to yank it away.
Oh, wow. That looks good.
Yeah, I'll call it good for now.
John, we hope to meet you someday in the future, too, when we come down to Florida.
Okay, let's take a look-see.
Southern fried.
Always unplug your soldering iron when you're done using it. You will increase the life and also not burn yourself on accident. Let's turn the game on. Start a game. All right. I think here's a pro tip. Check the runout switches after you take a score reel apart to make sure that everything is good. So in the 0 position, check another score reel. I will pull this one out. In the 0 position, all switches should be open. I believe right now in the 0 position, we have a switch closed, which means the game can't find home. And the 9 pushes the top one closed, and now they should all be open. So what we have here is I just have my bottom switch is not open. All 3 of these switches should be open. No connectivity, and that is what tells the game, hey, we're at 0. Right, so I think David explained it really well. Basically, you have your top switch is your rollover. So when this is closed in the 9 position, that will trigger if the 10-point relay goes and this switch is closed, it will also close the 100-point relay or activate the 100-point relay and then activate 100 points. The switch in the middle generally is, hey, I'm not on 0, so keep going. That's what it's looking for. Anyways, without trying to explain it really quick, I just want to try to fix it. So 9, I want to make sure, oh, I see what happened. Actually, this is a man-made problem. Do you see this lifter? You see that nylon piece right there?
Yes.
That nylon piece is supposed to be on the other side of this wire form.
What?
When everything was apart, I must have wiggled and mangled that wire form. And it slipped. So what I need to do is I need to see if I can safely push that out without mangling the switch, which I don't want to do. So this is an annoying scenario.
Uh-oh.
Because the safest way to fix this thing would be to remove the entire, take it apart, fix it, and put it back together. I do find that when you are in this sort of a scenario and you try to do it the quick way or the easy way, or what you perceive to be the easy way, you will break something and you will cause yourself a ton more work. I will see what I can do really quick, but hey, we might take this back apart.
Yeah, then you can do Grumpy's trick to putting the score reel back on.
Actually, we won't. Okay, so.
He just wanted to get out of it. Okay, so you literally just flapped it over. Wow.
Oh, wait. No, I was wrong. Oh, crap. I was looking at it wrong. Never mind. Ignore all of that. Can we erase that?
No.
I'm just kidding. It's okay. Well, I know that I can fix it, so. The nice thing about score reels, and it's like I did at the very beginning, is you don't need to memorize all this stuff 100%, right? Go look at another one. You've got 15 other score reels to look at, and that's what I should have done really quick before I just assumed. The problem is now is I've got these things all kind of mangled out of proportion.
Oh my gosh, this is...
This one needs to be on this side. Hold on.
I'm scared.
All right, something like that. So, not on zero.
That's back where it was, right?
I'm gonna look at another one really quick.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so at 0.
Oh, we can't see.
Oh, I see what I did.
Can you show us that in Blue Cam?
Hold on.
So then we can see what it looks like.
I just want to see where I'm at really quick to make sure that I'm not saying...
It's hurting me to see this. Where are you? We need to get you in the Zoom. Put your wig on and let's go.
It's hurting me to see this too because I should have paid attention, but I took it apart further than I needed to for the cameras, and now I'm suffering for it. But it's okay. It's fixable. Everything's fixable on the EM.
Camera's suffering.
So that guy's supposed to be there. That guy's supposed to ride against the triangular. No, okay, no, it's set up right now. It's just a matter of adjusting them correctly. So again, everything should be open at 0. That middle switch needs to be closed, and I've got those bent out of whack. So let me adjust these with the switch adjuster, and we'll be good as gold. I should adjust them closed at the 0 position, though.
Okay. So always go to 0 when you're adjusting the switches back
Not necessarily. I just want to adjust them at 0 because I don't want to adjust it into position. I got to move this camera. Can we use this camera?
If you swap them.
This one? There we go. I don't want to adjust it into position so that the switches are touching each other when they should be, because a lot of the actuation of these switches is reliant on like tension of springs, right? The actual.
Grumpy said, I'm not sure for Jack in the Box, but an insulated part of the wire goes between 2 arrow-shaped switch leaves.
Yeah, I've got that guy adjusted right in the right spot. What the issue was I actually mangled the switches while I was screwing with that wire form when everything was apart. So now it's back together. It's just a matter of getting the middle switch adjusted correctly. And I think it is. I need to watch it as I step. Okay, now this is pushing too high, so the rollover switch needs to be adjusted out just a hair.
We can't see anything.
Yeah, this is hard to show because it's like
No,
it's
you
at my
just
eye
move
level.
the camera. You can move the blue cam right overhead.
Closed, open, 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 closed, closed, open, step, 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 closed, closed. Everything's open. Okay, we should be good. I will pull the camera over and show what I was finagling with. Open, open, open.
That would be great.
The middle switch is a little tight. I need to open it up. Hold on. Just a teeny bit. If I wouldn't have gone wiggling all this stuff unnecessarily, I wouldn't have had to adjust any of this.
It's just so elusive. We can't see you adjusting anything.
It's hard to show.
It's not. You just need to move the blue camera.
But if I move the blue camera, I can't see what I'm doing. Which
yeah, just do it higher up over your head. And I'll zoom in.
I just need another foot. Close, closed, open, open, open. Okay, so what I was fiddling with was trying to get all of these switches back in line. It's 0. These switches need to be open. The switch closest to my finger at not 0 is supposed to be closed. And as we roll around to 9, everything closes back to 0 where everything's open again. That's what we were kind of messing with there. Those are important. Let's try to get the game. Let's see if we solve the issue and we can go back to those switches really quick. Since David's here, he can help us understand what all of those switches mean and what they do. But also, I don't want to put this thing back together with that at 0. I want to put it on 1. When I rebuild score units on any pinball game, I always set them back in at 1. Because that means that the game needs to run through the entire gambit of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then back to 0 to see which ones are working or not working again.
Nice.
All right, it's stuck in a weird bit of reset. What I will do actually is I will set this back to 0. And then I might need to reach inside the game to cancel whatever sequence it's kind of stuck in right now. It's stuck in a part of the start
Kyle,
sequence.
did you tighten the 4 screws that hold in the coil?
I did. And actually, you know what I didn't do 100% is, I just thought about this, is the actual end of stroke switch. I need to tighten that down all the way. 1 second here.
Oh, so if it's not tightened all the way, it can kind of...
Well, that's an important adjustment because if these switches are not in the right state, it can cause goofiness. It is now open. Now it's closed and that's open. All right, let's see what we get now.
So for those who are just joining in, Kyle, can you remind us what the repair is that we're actually working on? What was the issue? What was the error we were getting in Jack in the Box?
It was scoring 10 points inconsistently, and the relay, or the score reel was kind of floating. We deemed that it was most likely a bad coil, or potentially the easiest solution would be a bad coil. So
we swapped out, we took apart the score reel, swapped out the coil, and then now we're
here.
Everything.
So
yeah,
we're in a game. Let's see if we can hold down the 10-point relay. Ah, it's still doing the same thing. Okay. So the coil was not causing this issue. I wonder if we've got a problem with this switch. I wonder if there's something really goofy going on. Again, what needs to happen here in proper operation, when we would hit the 10-point relay, the score reel plunger will be pulled into the coil, and that will open up a switch which will then kill the 10-point relay. Let's listen to this in action, right? If I hold the 100-point score reel in, the plunger holds itself back, waiting to be released, right? When this where's the camera? Can you make this big?
Yeah.
So what we're trying to get is when this plunger goes backwards, there is an end of stroke switch here. When this guy goes all the way back, it opens up this contact on this switch, which disengages the relay that drives this coil, which would be the 10-point relay. So if I hold the 100-point relay down, it sits there and waits for the relay to release it because it steps one time every time the relay closes. If we do that with the 10-pointer, watch what happens.
Oh.
It floats. It does not. It's in a weird state where it won't cancel. I'm really curious to see what David might have to say about this, but I'm trying to see here because it's very, very clearly opening that switch. I think we've adjusted it. We've cleaned it. There's nothing shorting out strange. I mean, short of actually like actuating the switch myself, I wonder. Stand by, going to see schematic.
Doctors. Yeah, looking at the schematic.
What a hero.
Always check your schematics.
So the reason we assume this may have been a coil is because it only affects player 1. If this was something in the circuit, it seemed unlikely, which is why we jumped to the coil. Since it only affects player 1, what is unique to that part of the circuit between the relay and the coil? This is the only thing that's unique to it, right? This same relay drives this 10 player, this 10 player, this 10 points. I'm sorry, 10 points. And it's only an issue on this guy. So I'm curious to see.
Daniel says maybe the switch is shorting.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking now, and that's kind of why I want to take it out. And if I figured out a way to like
replace switch stacks, or is it just a matter of just cleaning them and adjusting them?
It should be a matter of cleaning and adjusting on this guy. Generally, you don't need to replace this switch unless it breaks, which is actually quite common. But this one's not broken. I'm going to try to find something that I can poke with that is not going to short something out. Give me 1 second while I poke around. If I can manually hold that switch open, and if it still does it, that means that there's something else going on, and I'll need to bust this.
Grumpy says check switch P1D.
P1?
Papa 1 Delta.
Let me get my schematic because I don't remember exactly where that is on the player unit, and the player unit scares the heck out of me.
Oh yeah, do we still have our schematics on here?
In a quick type out, what is going on with P1D that necessitates checking, David? If it's a quick thing.
P1D with wires, blue, yellow, and blue, red.
Blue, yellow, blue, red.
BL is blue, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the player unit, here, let's reset the camera really quick.
Okay.
So take a look. Use the boom camera. This is the player unit. This is how Gottlieb this is how these games control what is happening on which player. So it steps up, I think I've mentioned this many times, player 1 ball 1, player 2 ball 1, player 3 ball 1, player 4 ball 1. Player 1 ball 2, repeat, rinse, it's 5 balls.
P1D is in path from 10-point relay to 1 player reel. Player 1 reel.
Okay.
I don't know why I read that.
And since you're looking at the chat, could you please remind me what colors the wires were there?
P1D with wires blue and yellow and blue, red.
I think it's P1, 2, 3. No. Here's blue, yellow. There's blue, red.
there are jumpers on these switches, so I need to see where blue-red goes on this guy. So blue-red is on that second stack in. Blue-yellow is here. Blue-yellow and blue-red don't seem to touch. One. So I don't see blue, yellow, and blue, red touching, David, unless I'm just blind.
Let me blow out the lights really quick because I actually am blind. I see a blue-red's wire that is on the player 2 switch stack. I'm just trying to see if that jumps to anything. It doesn't look like it. But I do see this blue-yellow wire. I'm going to just grab my flex stone here, and I am going to try and just give a teeny pass through. I'm coming at this wire at a very extreme angle, kind of almost along the direction that the wire or the switch does face, so I can kind of get a good grasp at it. Actually, I will cycle this through to player 4. I will now stick my flex stone in, hold it, step the unit. Oh. A little scrubbing going on here. Try to get all the thread that could be there out. What did David say? Has he mentioned anything?
MGM Studio says it's like diffusing a bomb. Cut the red wire. No, I meant blue.
It really is.
P1 is the stack closest to the wipe.
Yep.
D is the fourth one up from cam.
Yep, okay. So I see
I'm running an alligator clip lead from BL blue-yellow on 10-point relay to blue-red on player 1's 10 score reel coil.
I'm gonna pull up what you're looking at really quick. Well, now I have a score reel that's not turning. Oh boy, this is the fun part. Again, when you call a game reliable and how it's never broken on you in this X amount of years, that's when they start to get grumpy.
And I also pulled the schematics too, so.
I've got the one on the game. Thank you, though.
Well, I know, but we want to see it. Because we're all learning too, right? So the 10s unit. Blue, yellow.
I'm going to reset the game really quick.
Red.
It gets into a weird state when you start stepping things around.
Show area 13. Okay. Area 13. Oh no. Wait. How do I get, what is area 13?
So,
cool. I see right here.
Yeah, there's an index on the side.
13.
So yeah, 13. Still doing the same thing. I think I might kill the game again, and I might try to get in there with that flex stone.
Yeah, I learned a little from the last class. So yeah, we're over here. David said he's willing to zoom in if we wanted to get him on. Kyle.
Let's do it.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
because this is literally a continuation of what we were doing last week. We tried the physical work, and now it's back to the schematic. So let's, instead of me just doing the physical work and saying, yep, we fixed it, David can explain to us what is going on here.
All right, David, if you're still interested in being a face on the face. I'm going to send you a link right now on your Poker Faces.
What I'm doing now with my face so close to it was just watching it step through,
making sure that those switches were closing. I'm trying to find P1D.
And if it comes in F1, you're going to see a little chaos happening, but we'll get it.
P1D, P2D,
I sent
P3D.
it to your Facebook Messenger. The doctor.
So when switch P1D is closed and the N relay energizes, it will add points on the first player's 10 unit.
That is what the schematic says.
But in reset, it shouldn't matter. Well, maybe I also, a combination of things. I need to also look at my zero switches while we do that. Maybe I should triple check there. Also make sure that they are clean. And me bending and doing other weird things and put them in a weird cattywampus state. Man, it's like I'm just learning how to do this all over again. That's why this pinball repair is so much fun.
Watch your fingers, Kyle. Daniel's concerned.
Is the game still on? Oh crap, it is. I should turn it off.
Thank you, Daniel. All right.
Hey, if you can't take 110 volts once or twice, you're not doing it right.
No, I don't recommend taking 110 volts ever. It's not fun. It feels weird.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, David. You're back.
I am setting up the right background. Okay.
Awesome.
It's me.
Yay. Our hero here to save the day.
Truly.
I'm going to make a quick adjustment on my end. All right. Here we go. Oops. All right. We can all see you. We can hear you.
All right. By the way, I think I put it in the chat. Emoto, you were showing the right part of the schematic. I was trying to look at it on my phone screen, so I couldn't even see. But yes, you definitely have been learning this. That's awesome.
Nice.
I was really impressed.
Yeah, I was like looking, I was like, here it is. I was following all the lines.
You found exactly the right thing. Yeah.
Yes. That's as far as I got, though. I couldn't help Kyle anymore, so we're glad you're here.
Well, that was it. I mean, we're looking at the schematic. It says P1D. It has these wire colors. He's not seeing those wire colors. There's a possibility there's a mismatch here, but I think so I was trying to get ready for the Zoom a little bit. Kyle, did you try the alligator clip lead?
No, I didn't do the alligator clip yet. I just cleaned and made sure that these switches were closing.
Yeah, so here, I mean, the explanation part of this is so when you have a single player game, it's very easy. The scoring point relay turns on, and one of those switches advances the score reel. When you have a multiplayer game, something has to work as like the switcher that sends the tens point and the hundreds point and the 1,000 point. It has to send it to the right player. In this particular game, it's part of the player unit. It's these switches behind the wiper that are doing it. And in the schematic, it shows up as well, P1D is the single switch that's going to take the 10-point scoring relay switch that's responsible for advancing the reel and sending it to the correct reel. So I wanted to put, if we do the alligator clip lead, it's a way of skipping the player unit, which means this will happen. I mean, on every player, it'll be advancing, but that's still okay. We would find, it was a troubleshooting step to say, is that the problem switch?
Yep.
And if it is, then we'll find the right switch in there. And so I'm kind of thinking if we do the alligator clip lead, we can ignore P1D for now. Okay.
So again, tell me where we are going to alligator clip this up.
Go to the 10-point relay and find blue, yellow. So Emoto, I don't know if you want to put the schematic up, but I'll point. Oh, I have to, let's see. I should share mine because then I can point.
Yeah, you can share yours.
I've got blue, yellow right here. It's a nice big fat contact.
I hope this is still working well in the video that I'm jumping in late and everything.
I'm going to give me a second, everybody.
Oh, and you know what? I did something. All right.
No, it's okay. I can make an adjustment.
No, I was changing from one screen to another screen, and
stand by, everybody.
Okay, I have one end of my alligator clip on the blue and yellow wire on my 10-point relay.
Okay, and then the other one, so is the not common on the 10s reel blue-red on the coil?
It probably was blue-red at some point. Let me follow it back a little bit and see if I can find some real color.
Yeah. I mean, it ought to be.
It's blue and something that's kind of orange-ish.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think we're pretty safe to just go ahead and put it on that bottom lug, the one that doesn't have black on it.
All right, so we are jumping from the 10-point relay to the non-common side of the score reel coil.
Yeah. So showing people what we're doing, and I guess. Let me scroll down just a little bit so that Kyle's not in the way. I'm trying to look at what you're sending out and my screen.
Yeah.
So N is the 10-point scoring relay. When this switch closes, here's that switcher, right? So the player unit's going to send it to P1, P2, P3, or P4 based on which player is up. When it sends it through P1D, it goes to, this is the coil that advances the 10s unit. They call it unit instead of score reel. So we're sort of bypassing this switch, thinking we've tried everything else. That the end of stroke switch is still a little suspect, but I can't think of how it has a problem that's causing this. So I kind of thought we wouldn't focus on that, and that was why I was going P1D. So Kyle, you've got it jumpered.
Yes, sir.
You should be able to play a game.
I do have the game started. I'm going to activate the relay.
Okay.
It's still jumpy.
How is that possible? You did change the coil, right? You didn't just take it out and put it back in?
No, I did change the coil. A9154.
Let's try something crazy.
I like crazy.
Can you jumper the black of any other coil to the black of that coil? Not any other coil. Just do the adjacent one. I'm wondering if you have a bad connection there.
All right.
Let's jumper.
I'm going to jumper from the common on the coil that I just installed. We are going to jumper it to the thousands unit.
Sure.
A few coils over. I will now try the relay.
Okay, so let's try one other thing. Try jumpering, and this is I wouldn't want you to run these for very long because we're doing weird things with resistance. Jumper the bottom lug on the hundreds reel to the bottom lug on the tens reel, and then we're going to activate the hundreds relay. So
Got it.
For people watching, it's not great to do this because you're running two coils that aren't designed to be run together through one circuit. So this is the kind of thing you can do for a short period as this test. But I like, even when you're holding it on, just do it long enough to see if this is working, and realize the 100 is going to lock on. So we just have to see if the 10s is locking on.
Yep. All right, we're going to give that a shot now. Same issue.
Daniel said maybe the spring is too strong on the score wheel mechanism.
The string at the bottom of what were you calling it? That long metal piece. Because that's the one you're sort of fighting against.
Are we Daniel, are you talking about the finger that rests up against the score reel?
No, I think he's talking about the spring at the bottom of the. Oh, what did you gave it a name today?
A compression spring. I think that's the only thing I ever called it.
No. The plunger pulls on this metal piece.
Oh,
advances the ratchet.
Yeah, I was always calling it like a carrier.
Yeah, the carrier. So the spring at the bottom of the carrier, it looked good on video, but I couldn't tell if it was the wrong spring.
No, I'm pretty sure that's the right spring. From my mild experience of doing this, it felt right. It's a bigger, thicker spring, but it's not very tight.
Yeah, Daniel confirmed that was the one he was talking about.
Okay. I mean, but he's not, I mean, that is a good place to look, but I don't think that that's the issue. I think.
And you're sure the 10s of all the other players work fine?
I'm pretty sure we confirmed that, but you know what? Instead of running on assumptions, let's make sure.
Actually, you could even just advance the player unit one step and
try
it. And it should do player 2.
Because we are the game now. Okay. That locks in place. Player 3 also locks in place. Player 4 locks in place. So I mean, it seems, now tell me if you agree, it seems like the issue, it absolutely does exist in this unit right here. Which to me makes me think, keep looking at that dang end of stroke switch.
The only thing I can think of is like the coil stop. If the field is collapsing because the stop looks okay, but it's not okay inside.
The stop, I'll be honest, I mean, the stop is worn, right? It is worn like a normal coil stop is.
So something I learned about coil stops from Mark Gibson in the online clinic. I didn't understand how much physics went into a coil stop for an AC coil like this. DC coils, it's just a slug. It's just a hunk of metal. In an AC coil like this, inside the coil stop, there's like a little coil. It's not really a coil, I think, but it is designed to fill the magnetic field between the sine waves of the AC circuit turning on and off. Your fluttering doesn't seem to be 60 cycles. It's a lot slower than that. So I'm not sure, but if the coil stop is cracked, like if the slug in the coil stop has cracked, it's going to wreak havoc on that magnetic field.
Interesting.
I'm not explaining it great, but you're kind of getting what I understand of it, right?
I mean, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I mean, you might not even see it. This is so bizarre.
I'm not opposed to maybe going and seeing.
Have we tried this? When you're doing a reset of the game, does the 10s reel go okay? So let me see. It is it's relay Z1 I'm just looking at it on the schematic here. I think, oh yeah, the schematic's still up on the screen.
Yep.
So the ones unit is also advanced when it's not at 0 through Z1, and I'm just following this wire back now. Wow.
That's where it jumps in the player unit.
How does that get there? Wait a minute. When you're in reset,
and yes, Boy said the reel does step nicely. We're using just without electronics. The reel is nice and smooth, advances well.
So Kyle, just try this. I mean, if you activate Z1 by hand, do score reels that aren't at 0 advance? I'm not sure if we have to be in reset for that to happen.
It does not. I'm pretty sure. I mean, we're still in a game, right? It's just we're back at. I think we're at player 4 right now.
Oh, you know, I think it goes. Oh, it's through here. Yeah, I think you need to be. Oh, this is a hard part of the schematic to read.
I mean, I could step it to 1 and then reset the game and watch it manually. Clunky,
yeah,
but
it might be good to see if it's slipping there too. Then, because. So actually, Kyle, one thing you can do if Z1 doesn't advance it, you need I think you need the player unit to be past player 4, ball 5.
okay.
So there's a few extra steps in there it uses as part of reset. And in one of those, Z1 should be advancing some score reels.
See, I'm at player 1, ball 4, player 1, ball 5, and now the double bonus relay clicked on. So you said, which step do you need it at, David, approximately?
It's going to be 1 or 2 or 3 past player 4, ball 5.
Past. Okay, so I'm going to step it to player 2, player 3, player 4, ball 5, and now we've got 1 step past. I'm going to try hitting Z1. Got nothing. 2 steps past. Nothing. 3 steps past. Nothing on Z1.
It may need more. It may need more.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do is mess with the logic of the game, but there could be another state of a relay that needs to be on.
We could try just attaching like the power rail to the coil.
Hey, Josh.
You know, just I wouldn't don't clip it on, but
just
you know
poke
what I'm
it.
saying. Just pick the hot wire. Let's see. We got to find it in the head for you. I'm looking back at so it's.
Can I yank it off like the credit unit, or no? That has to be triggered by a relay.
It's red white. I'm going to find you a switch in the head where you should be able to find that red white.
I mean, I see red white all over on every scoring reel, or every scoring relay. I think that's hot. I can measure it while you look.
Actually, on N, you know, the other side of that switch, where we pick the blue yellow.
Yeah, that's red white.
The other side of that ought to be hot during a game. It's red green.
Red green. I see red green. Yes. Let me start a game again. Okay, so the 10 unit is not resetting.
Is it not advancing?
I need to look at those switches, but that's not 100% part of our problem, hopefully, yet.
So on the schematic for people watching, I'm going to have Kyle take essentially this side of that same switch we were looking at on N. So the wire color here is red-green. And when you're in a game, this should just be hot. I mean, we're going to take that and we're going to put it on this side of the tens unit. You could try it on the other units just to make sure we've got the right one. Avoid the black side. If you hit it on the black side, you're going to blow the fuse. If you put it on the other side of that coil, you'll advance that score reel.
Yep, and, let's give it a shot.
Check it on other score reels first, because then we'll know we have the right red-green.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to check it on the third player's hundreds or tens. It goes.
Okay.
So we will give it I will hold it on there for just a moment to simulate the relay closing. Same issue.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
That's damning.
We know it's not a switch. It's the coil or the coil stop or something in that mechanism, like that spring. It's a possibility. I mean, the spring is kind of a good call. It's the kind of thing where if somebody was fixing these and they dropped that spring and they couldn't find it, they'd go to the hardware store and they'd try to buy something that looked the same and might not be. So I don't know if you're taking two score reels apart to move a spring over just in case. But if you say the coil stop looks worn,
I mean, what we'll do is I think we'll go for a twofer. I will make sure I get a new spring, I will get a new coil stop, and we'll see if that's an issue. And I mean, right, like if we think about this even if you've got a 4-player game, I mean, 90% of those games are probably going to be a 1-player, right? And especially on a game that awards 10s and 50s like they're going out of style, this is the score reel that gets a ton of abuse.
Oh, yeah.
It is much more likely for this to have worn out components than this, right? The player 3 or 4 unit of the same denomination. I think, looking at what we just did, we should have come prepared with everything. But I think these are good lessons to learn, because if it does end up being a coil stop, that's a weird one.
Yeah.
I think we're just going to unsolder this one and move it here, and we'll put. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that.
Well, I mean, I was thinking we could move one of the other things over, but we essentially did that with that alligator clip. I mean,
yeah, we know that the problem is here. It is in here now. We've eliminated every other circuit and switch, is what we just did jumpering, right?
Yeah, I mean, that green-red applied to other score reels, locked it on, advanced it, it's working fine. So coming back to the schematic, I will say, well, this problem is probably mechanical. Even if it's the coil stop, I'd say that's a mechanical problem. Diagnosing this and even knowing where to get a good hot from and what to jumper and how to eliminate all the switches, I mean, you're very dependent on the schematic to do that. Even to find your mechanical problem, because this is a very bizarre problem.
Bizarre, headache-inducing, but entertaining, that's for dang sure.
So does this mean you're doing EMs for one more week?
I don't know, Emoto. Does it mean we're doing EMs for one more week? It would be entertaining to finish the plight of the Jack-in-the-Box, and if we did finish it, we could move on to some other things like cleaning and looking under the hood a little bit. I think her microphone may have died, so I guess I'm in charge now. I'd just do oh, she's back.
Yeah, I think we should. That depends on if you're willing to jump on the show next week with us.
Oh, I guess I should look at my calendar.
I mean, it's always good to have someone with more experience and a different perspective. I would not have automatically just started jumping to, trying to jumper things like that. But that is absolutely the quickest way to rule out so many other things.
I was going to say, when you work on a lot of solid state games, you get very dependent, or correctly so, but you learn to use the diagnostics built into the software. And you can ground a coil to test a coil, but you're using that software diagnostics a lot more. On the EM side, I use my alligator clip leads all the time. I'm either jumping past a bunch of switches because I'm trying to see is the problem in one of these switches. I was working on a game a few weeks ago, and unique to the circuit I was having trouble with were about 6 or 8 switches. I mean, I like to use the schematic to sort of isolate a switch to a function and, test switches that have multiple functions with something else so I can eliminate. Well, I had 8 or so switches that had to work for this circuit, and I tested all the switches. Everything looked good. So I finally started jumpering, and I jumpered all the ones in the cabinet. I still had my problem. I jumpered the 2 that were in the player unit, the place where we're looking now, or where I had you looking at P1D. I jumpered 2 switches there, and my problem went away. And then I jumpered 1, and my problem went away. And I looked, and while the switch was closing, it wasn't closing tight enough, or it wasn't quite clean enough. I had cleaned it, I had checked it, but until I jumpered it, it still didn't jump out at me as being the problem. So yeah, I do alligator clip leads to jump over switches just to kind of find the problem switch. And in this case, we discovered it's not a switch. There's something about that score reel. That's the problem.
Wild.
These are the exciting problems, but this is definitely a problem. I mean, being totally honest, none of these things that David just suggested are things that I would have thought to do first, mechanical-wise, right?
I wouldn't have said try the coil stop, but I've learned that. AC coil stops are very special, but I don't think this is the behavior we would see. So I'm kind of leaning toward Daniel's talk of the spring, but you'll have to try the spring and let me know.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely. I think we're gonna. The thing is just since these are so labor intensive to take apart, I think we will do both of them at the same time.
Certainly, just having the correct spring, you'll be able to feel if it's the right spring.
I'm pretty sure it's the right spring, but if that spring again, after many hundreds of thousands of plays and multiple decades, has become weak, just because it's the right spring doesn't mean it's actually functioning correctly. So that's something to consider. I guess those are the things you have to think about when you're dealing with player 1 having an issue like this, is it's most likely worn out mechanically as well. Ugh. I'm just poking and seeing what kind of deflection I can get off of the springs in different positions, but I mean, it doesn't feel blown out.
How did the ratchet feel to you? Did everything about that? Oh, that wouldn't cause it to turn on and off.
It feels good. I mean, the engagement from full click forward, I mean, it's very smooth. I can hear everything locking into place once it's met its full extent of travel, right? Click. Well, that time it didn't snap because I let it go too slow, but it snaps in place. I can hear that backing blade really click in.
No, even if that were all not there, I still think that the coil should pull the plunger in and hold it in. It's not.
It's a weird one. It truly is a weird one.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if we're gonna want to turn on the machine while we have the score reel apart. I don't know.
Just to watch the way that the coil, the solenoid, holds the carrier in?
I want to see if the solenoid holds the carrier in with no springs and no... But trying to get it to start a game, I mean, you'll have to just make sure all the reset switches are good.
Yeah.
When you try to start a game with that reel apart.
The only time it's given me a problem resetting was like a few minutes ago, so I'm going to restart the game really quick just to see. Yeah, it didn't reset the player 1's 10s at all, and it didn't reset the player 3 10s enough.
I should look at the switches.
Do you still have, oh wait, you just have if you had the jumper on it still just on one side, it won't do anything there.
Yeah. Oh, I had one wire fall off of the circuit board, but very clearly the switch closest to the frame, it's closed. It has good contact, but it still didn't reset the score reel all the way. That's odd. Looks like we've got an uphill battle ahead. What did I do to this poor game?
Oh, no.
It's okay, though, because we can fix it. There's a way. There's always a way to fix every problem, and you just can't get, defeatist about it.
It's all just a bunch of switches and coils.
It's so easy.
Yeah. But it doesn't work. It's one of the switches or one of the coils or a wire. It's
or one of the wires, or one of the fuses, or,
What's up, Warlock Pinball? Thanks for joining us.
That's the fun thing about EMs, though, is when you do end up fixing this problem, or whatever problem, it is very rewarding because there's a direct connection between something you poked or prodded or did to the outcome, the victory of getting the thing working again. Where a lot of the time with solid state stuff, it's so abstract where you're like, here is a new board. My game is now fixed. It's not as enjoyable. To me.
When we find this, we'll look back and say, this should have only taken 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Hey, but then you learn something, right? If it only takes 10 minutes, you wouldn't learn something.
Ooh, upside down.
But yeah, I think that's a good plan. I think the internet has spoken. It seems like everyone wants us to kind of continue and finish this. So,
would you be able to join us? Yeah.
Yes, next Thursday should work for me.
Ooh, so exciting! You gotta bring your costume.
Oh,
remember?
Should we give people a preview? I did forget again. You had to remind me.
Oh, Roller Pinball blames Cletus.
It's always his fault. This is a spiderless game, though.
Yeah, that was it. Everyone got their little preview.
Oh, I was looking at it to see it. That's hilarious.
Okay, you want to see it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Tune in next week.
Tune in next week.
If you want to see more.
Right. Yeah, so Jacob just joined in asking what the issue is with the reel.
We don't know. The the symptom is it's not behaving correctly, and the fix is we haven't gotten there yet. The reel is not locking into place. It's kind of floating.
Post reminded me of something I wanted to share. I think we need to have a motto when you're working on a game. Don't be a Cletus.
Don't be a Cletus.
There's some guy out there named Cletus that's going to get real mad.
Every now and then, you found the problem, and there's an easy way to fix it, and there's a right way to fix it. And then you have to kind of pause for a moment and say, don't be a Cletus.
Don't be a Cletus.
So I don't know, if I'm at a pinball show and I don't even know the owner of this game, I might do the get it working again. I won't do something malicious or bad, but I'm not gonna rebuild a whole stepper unit I won't stretch a spring or something like that. But I mean, I might take a little bit of a shortcut and be a bit of a Cletus.
That's Cletusing, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Sometimes though, I think it's like there is a. You can be tactical about these sorts of
I'll make it roll.
Cletus types of maneuvers.
I'm
guilty.
Like?
I've done it a million times. When you just got to get something working, I mean, there's only so much you can do. But the thing is we want to not do that all the time. If you have the means, you should absolutely use them. I think. But then again, there is a Cletus fan club out there that we are really offending, and
You know, we are stereotyping a name.
What if there's like somewhere out there just this really, really brilliant pinball repair tech, and his name just happens to be Cletus, and we're just doing such a disservice to him.
I feel bad for him.
Hey, if he isn't already watching this show, it's his loss.
Right? So Vernicious asked where the Cletus saying comes from. That's just the person that takes shortcuts and messes up games, and also the name of the spiders inside of this game.
Yeah, well,
too, right?
No, I think it happened when you were gone. We were working on Hotline, and something was really, really done weird. Like someone stretched a spring really bad, and Steve and I just decided to name the spider Cletus because he's the one who did all the bad work. Because you always have to blame someone for your current misgivings, right? And that's unfortunately where it stemmed from. So it's my fault. My bad.
I want to acknowledge Jacob's post about shotgunning. Sounds like a dirty switch. Floating sounds like the coil pulse isn't long enough. So, Jacob, we've gotten to the point where we have just hot wired the coil and it won't hold on. So there are no switches involved anymore. We've actually replaced the coil today. So we're now at the point of thinking coil stop or possibly the wrong spring in the mechanism that's pulling just too hard for the strength of that coil. But yeah, normally, you know, we already gone through all the switches, all through the other stuff, and until we finally got to the point where we're just attaching voltage to the coil and it's happening.
Yeah, this is a weird one. But again, we're thinking that it could be a mechanical problem just because player one gets played more than all of the other players. So we're at the point where something is most likely worn out, and we have to figure out what that is. I'm going to restart the game really quick for my own curiosity. It'll be loud, but... Huh. So it's not resetting the player 1 or 3 10-point units at all. And now I'm afraid I did something weird. I left them on 1 and they did not reset 1 bit. And they're very clearly, the switch that should be closed is very closed. Oh my goodness, what did I do? I'll have to mess with it a little bit and see if I can get it right back to the point it should be at. But yeah. Maybe David and I can stay on stream for like 10 minutes after we end the stream, and I'll get this part figured out. But, you know. What did I do to the Z1 and Z2 relays?
Never mind the man behind the curtain. Yeah.
The wizard himself.
Yes, I'm available to stay on for a little bit today, and we'll not bore everybody with a million things we might be trying. Or not boring them, but maybe confusing the matter. It's
there's a fine line.
The player 1 tens and the player 3 tens are reset using different relays. So it would be strange that would be happening.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid that I'm wondering if I messed with the switches in the wrong way, and like I feel like I know exactly how these things are supposed to go. It is, right, against the frame, that switch is supposed to be closed when not on 0. The center switch and the switch furthest out are supposed to be open until 9, correct?
So, wait. Of the 3 switches on the top of the reel.
Yep.
The one closest to the frame.
Yep.
Is the 0 switch. And I looked at the schematic earlier because you said they're all sitting open, and I was surprised by that, but that is correct. They should normally be open at 0.
The last era of Gottlieb are all open at 0, I'm pretty sure.
The second switch away from the frame is the runout switch, and it should be open at 0 and closed at everything else. And then the third switch is the 9 switch. It's only closed when the 9 is showing. So it looked like you had that correct.
I think I actually had the runout switch adjusted a little too open because I forgot. Okay, yeah, no, it's this. this is the thing why it's important not to try to memorize things, and it's important to look and see what else is working, because I think Gottlieb changed their zero switches like 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
And currently, the 2 that are not working are adjusted improperly. The center switch is supposed to be closed at anything that is not 0, and currently I had them set to be open. So there's my problem.
Yes.
I should have not used my brain and used my eyes, which is more important than your brain most of the time. Okay, well, we might have just figured that out. So anyways, do we have any closing news we need to talk about?
Yeah, sure. Well, let's go ahead and unshare your screen, David, and then I'll readjust this to here. There we go. All right, so everyone, you heard it. Next week, we will be back with Jack in the Box and solutions, hopefully.
Hopefully.
To how to fix this mysterious score reel issue.
For whatever reason, I think the only thing we need to say is that if we do not have, if I do not have the correct part, we might need to come up with something else. But there is, I should be able to get the correct part, so no worries there.
Yeah. Good thing we work for the largest pinball parts company.
I'm going to predict that next week we announce that we discovered this solution within a minute of turning off the stream. That's what we'll say.
That would be fun. And then we can just sit and talk shop.
Yeah, that's fine too.
I didn't say it would be true.
We'll give everyone a resolution. You know, we have to see the game flip and play.
Oh well. I mean, this is a game that I intend on. If we ever stream one of our Marco League nights for work, this is a game that I fully intend to have on the stream because this thing gets heated.
It's a fun one.
This is a heated game. Okay.
So
really quick.
We are ending the stream though, and then these guys are gonna work off. If you are on Twitch, please stick around because we will raid our favorite Mystery Pinball Theater 3000, who is playing The Mandalorian right now in his studio, looking cool as always. I'm gonna set that up. Mystery Pinball Theater 3K, and then just a reminder to everyone that our new show, the Big Picture Pinball Show, look, there's David still on there, is going to be on Tuesday, August 31st. And we are going to be interviewing Todd Tuckey. So please join us at 8 p.m. Eastern. Here's the corrected graphic right there. It's a brand new show. It'll be bi-monthly. So every other Tuesday, we'll have some other special guest that made a pinball movie, a documentary, some type of content. So this is kind of a fun little filmmakers forum where we talk about their processes and get more people into wanting to make pinball content, because that's how we share it with the world.
Excellent. How exciting.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. Todd Tuckey is legendary, so it'll be great. And don't forget to take advantage of our free shipping code. It's free domestic shipping for orders over $99 and $10 off international shipping for orders over $99. And the code is in all caps, PinLabor21, and lasts until Sunday. So you have a few days to think about what parts you need to get your games ready for Labor Day weekend, which is coming up. And that's it. We're going to go raid. Kyle and David, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Good game. And we'll see everyone next week. In theory. All right. Goodbye. Look at that. Awesome rating. We're going to play some circus music because I really like it.
Circus music?
The opening music was so good.